My topic of presentation is enhanced recovery after TCAR. It's called ILAS protocols and how they apply it for TCARs. I'm Dr. Manish Sontakke. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, practice at Fortis Hospital, Vashi. So I believe that change is important. I also believe that something can always be done better than what it is done right now. So the eternal question is whether what we are following right now is really good, or is there something better than this, and what is the evidence behind it. So what is ERAS? ERAS is basically enhanced recovery after surgery. Dr. Henrik Kallett, he devised this, started making protocols for colorectal surgery in the 1990s, and these protocols have been followed for every specialty now. So these protocols are specifically patient-centered, evidence-based, outcome-driven, multidisciplinary team approach. Those develop pathways to enhance or maintain preoperative organ function to reduce the stress of surgery. At the same time, optimize the physiological recovery of the physiological function and facilitate recovery without any major complications. It's also used as fast-track surgery because nowadays you see a lot of marketing going on. You see fast-track knee replacements. This is all based on these protocols and how do you do it. So the recommendations are by the ERAS Society that was formed in 2001. It's based on the quality of evidence. High quality of evidence means that further research around this parameter is not going to gain much of importance. But a very low parameter that is yet to be studied, it has to be given more importance to study its effect on the actual protocol. So the recommendation is based on whether the effect of the parameter has significant desirable effects and against the undesirable effects, and weak evidence requires low quality evidence. So this is the main slide of the presentation. ERAS protocol starts from exactly when the patient enters your OPD in the preoperative phase. Then he goes into comes to our admission, and then he undergoes the surgery, and then the post-op outcome after 3 to 6 months of follow-up. So it ends with a basic audit whether whatever you have done is really worked well for the patient. There are a total of 17 parameters that are supposed to be taken for total knee replacement. We'll be brushing through most of them because of time constraints. So preoperative education, though it is not very much famous with what we are doing right now. Ideally, outside, in US and UK, the people get ready-made booklets that have everything written in it. What is going to happen prior admission, what exercises, what pre-medication, and all information is given to the patient. There is a high recommendation for this. Why? Because the amount of painkillers required for the patient, the amount of the length of hospital stay is significantly less because the patient knows everything what is going to happen with them. Pre-admission patient optimization is also a field where which has a good amount of evidence regarding it, because smoking cessation, alcohol cessation, there's nutritional correction of deficiencies, correction of anemia, hypoalbuminemia, your diabetes control, and increased physical activity to increase the muscle tone have all shown to better the results and faster discharge processes. So a dental checkup and a urine culture is also mandatory in many of the cases because you want to avoid infection. There is level 1 evidence against smoking because it increases post-operative complications, and a level 2 evidence regarding that cessation programs at least 4 weeks prior has shown to lessen the complications. Anemia is one major complication causing ailment because 40% of the complications like retransfusions and increase the length of the stay of the hospital, infection and morbidity significant increases with anemia and has to be corrected. There's a number of studies that say that giving preoperative erythropoietin and iron injections do have better results and help in faster recovery. So preoperative physiotherapy, or it's called as rehabilitation, I ask the patients to do leg extensions with weights. I encourage them to do cycling to maintain this muscle tone. There is a low evidence but high recommendation for this protocol because it has shown to hasten recovery post-surgery. So preoperative fasting, many of times, most of our patients are NVM for almost 8 to 10 hours. That is not actually recommended. For any kind of anesthesia, be it general or spinal anesthesia, only 2 hours of fasting for clear liquids and 6 hours of fasting for solids is recommended. There is no bowel preparations, and the patient is encouraged to have liquids as soon as 4 hours post-surgery. Preoperative carbohydrate treatment is one more thing because when the patient is, except for diabetics, most of the patients should be given some kind of carbohydrate-rich drink, say like an apple juice or 25% dextrose at least 2 hours prior, because this has shown that excessive fasting, the body goes into starvation mode, and that causes a bit that causes more of the catabolic body going into a catabolic phase and release of cortisol. So there's a standardized anesthetic protocol. The ERAS Society recommends for spinal anesthesia. They have lesser recommendations for epidural because it causes motor blockade and hypotension. The use of local infiltration nerve blocks and infiltration anesthesia is given more importance in this. The evidence level is high and the recommendation is strong. So the surgical technique part, most of the preppers do prefer for MIS surgeries or parapatellar approach. The summary is that there is no clinical evidence yet, but the recommendation is still strong. But in spite of this, there are a number of papers that have come recently that faster recovery for increasing quadriceps strength. So local infiltration analgesia is the mainstay of treatment protocol for. It's highly recommended by the ERAS Society because it has no motor component and there is no hypertensive disadvantages. Nerve root blocks are also encouraged, but hardly the adductor canal block is encouraged. Moreover, they do not advise sciatic and femoral nerve blocks. So absolutely no tourniquets and no drains. In fact, they've seen that there's the same amount of blood loss. They have wound complications. They have increased swelling and impairs early mobilization whenever you're using a tourniquet. And drains also cause more of bleeding. And they have seen that patients have increased transfusion rates who have put on drains. So these are perioperative protocols. Post-operative nausea and vomiting has to be reduced, especially in female patients who have a history of morning sickness. Prevention of perioperative blood loss will be seeing that ahead. Multimodal analgesia is another part because we want to avoid opioids for simple reason we don't want more of gastritis or nausea. So there's a preoperative part to it and a postoperative part to it. The preoperative starts with paracetamol, acetaminophen and celecoxib before 1 day prior and later. So maintaining normothermia and antimicrobial prophylaxis and antithrombotic prophylaxis treatment is recommended for at least 14 days after this. So tranexamic acid is classically, it is a high level evidence and should be used 1 hour prior surgery, and most effective time is when you release the tourniquet. You should give tranexamic acid. It can be also given intravenous, intraarticularly, and also at the time of, it can be used in the pulse lavages. So perioperative fluid manage, absolutely zero balance. You should not give excess of fluids, not more than 1.5 liters post surgery. So antithrombotic prophylaxis should be given at least for 14 days post TKR. So early mobilization is the key to it. Immediate SLR and heel slide should be done. Just to standing and walking for at least 4 to 6 months and 6 hours after surgery. Calf pumps for at least 48 hours to 15 days, and walking 15 to 30 minutes has significantly shown to reduce the incidence of TKR. Criteria-based discharge, the patient should be able to dress, he should be able to stand up, he should be able to sit and rise independent with personal care and early mobilization. In the last, reduced ERAS protocols have definitely shown a lot of improvement in that they have reduced the length of stay, reduced the number of complications, readmissions and reduced mortality also. So all these guidelines are for free. You can always read them at ERAS Society. It's given at 2020 latest guidelines are all available for you. Thank you.